So it looks like we're getting a new Marvel Legends Deluxe Retro Series Iron Man, but is this one any good, soulmates, and is he worth your money? Be sure you stick around until the end, guys, because we're going to talk about what Iron Man characters we want to see next in this retro line. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. Iron Man's modular armor is kind of the epitome of mid-90s design, and we saw a lot of this armor in pop culture around that time. It very famously appeared in the Iron Man animated series that debuted in 1994, but it also appeared in Capcom's Marvel Superheroes as well as Marvel vs. Capcom. And no great surprise, the modular armor made an appearance as an action figure, showing up in Toy Biz's Iron Man series based on the animated cartoon. The modular armor didn't really have that many action figures though, and it wasn't much later until the Face Off series that we saw another version of the modular armor, and this one was in a 2-pack with the Mandarin. We didn't see any more of modular Iron Man for quite a while, until just last year in 2021, when modular Iron Man appeared in the Ursa Major wave, and it was one of the most well-liked action figures in that wave, I think. When people talked about the best Marvel Legends of 2021, modular Iron Man was one that often came up. And it's not hard to see why, because it features an all-new sculpt, and it is a pretty decent-looking action figure with lots of detail, and it should be no great surprise now that we're seeing a repaint of him released on the retro card. This one is quite different though, because not only does it feature matte colors, but it also comes with a very unusual though very recognizable accessory. This one comes with the giant Proton Cannon that was featured very prominently in Marvel vs. Capcom. And if you're anything like me, you spent a lot of time playing that game way back when, and that Proton Cannon was so much fun to use. Seeing it here included with Iron Man, this seems like a no-brainer accessory. And looking at this Proton Cannon, you really gotta give it to Hasbro on this one, because they went out of their way to make sure the details on the cannon were pretty much exact. I can't really spot anything that looks all that much different from what we see in the video game. This is the cannon. This is it. And if you're looking for a Proton Cannon for Iron Man, this one very obviously does the job nicely and better than anything else. Honestly, the only way that this Proton Cannon could get any better right now is if it actually fired some kind of laser accessory that was included with it, but even if it doesn't have an action feature, that's still a really nice piece to include with Iron Man. I mean, look at this thing. It's huge. It's comically huge. They have to include a little clear plastic stand with it just so Iron Man can actually hold it, because there's no way the toy can actually hold the cannon. It's too big. You definitely can't look at this and say that this package is short on accessories, because what does it come with? Well, besides the cannon and the little clear stand that it needs, it also comes with 3 blast effects. One is a repulsor effect, and another one is a chest piece that can attach to him, as well as another charging piece like we see in Marvel vs. Capcom. This is the effect from the game where you see Iron Man charging his repulsor blast. Besides that, we also get 2 sets of extra hands. One set is for his repulsor blast, and another one is a set of open hands so he can grab onto stuff if you want to stick any accessories in his hands. We get a couple of extra heads. One is an extra Iron Man head with some alternate details, and another one is a Tony Stark head that features a mullet. All in all, I think that this makes for a pretty decent deluxe set, and I was pretty surprised to see the price tag on this one initially, because I thought it was going to be more expensive. What you get here is Iron Man on a retro card with all of his accessories, but then the Pulsecon is so large that they put it in a separate box and stuff both items inside a retro-inspired box so that they're all together. And that's pretty cool. If this one were a general release, I would say, yeah, you should definitely consider going out and get it. But the trouble in paradise here is that this is a Pulse exclusive, so you can only get it on Hasbro Pulse. When you go on Hasbro Pulse, you have to buy a membership now in order to get free shipping. Otherwise, shipping on anything you buy there is going to be really expensive. So it's already $45, and that's just a whole heap of shipping costs tacked onto what you're already getting, and that's not even considering taxes. Besides that, let's talk about the accuracy of this Iron Man, and I'm looking at the action figure trying to decide what they're basing it on, guys, and the best that I can tell, it's kind of just a mishmash of Modular Iron Man stuff. It's not really based on any one thing from what I can tell. It's just pulled from different sources, because if you look at the TV show, the animated series, you see that Iron Man has a lot of separation on his shoulder pads, and they're very pronounced. They have very hard edges on them. And besides that, the chest emblem looks all wrong on the action figure compared to the TV show, because on the show, it's more of an upside down equilateral pentagon that we're looking at as opposed to a diamond. Other than that, his gauntlets are very different too, because on the show, the red sections are much smoother and there's a separation on the inside that has a little square shape, and the little yellow ridges, the decal on the outside, those have fewer ridges than what we see on the action figure. Other than that, there's little things like the textures of the separations on the boot are different, and the little yellow decal going down his knees has 3 ridges on the show as opposed to 4 on the action figure, and then there's another yellow strip on the side of his boot that only has 3 ridges on the show. So there's a lot of little differences between this action figure and the cartoon. It might look alright from far away, but once you get up close, it doesn't really hold up to scrutiny. I thought that maybe the armor was closer to Marvel vs. Capcom, but looking at that one, the shoulders are much bigger and they're also much more angular. Also, the yellow strips that we see on Iron Man's armor have fewer decals than what we see on the action figure, although a lot of the red separations on this one are similar to what we see in the game. Perhaps most curious is that Marvel vs. Capcom's emblem has a diamond shape like the action figure, but the contours of his chest plate follow that emblem, and the action figure doesn't, and it looks strange to me because it doesn't follow that emblem. It looks out of place. Also notable is that his neck is yellow in the game, which is kind of a nice design element, I thought. The high contrast color on his neck really keeps the head from blending in with the top of the torso. It's honestly something I wish they would have done on this action figure because it looks pretty nice. Why, obviously the design on this sculpt is supposed to be more based on the comic book appearance of the modular armor, but curiously the contour of the chest plate in the comics still follows that emblem as opposed to what we see on the action figure, so it still doesn't look right even when we compare the comic book panels to the action figure. The disregard for the contours of the chest plate on that action figure is quite ugly, to be honest, and I wish they would have corrected it for this release. I can't find any comic book panel that disregards the contour of the chest plate, and most of the comic book panels that I can find right now seem to use that upside down pentagon. Although admittedly there are a few diamond designs on some of the comic book panels I've found, but not a lot, it seems like. And it's kind of strange to see because it seems like they could have just mitigated the design error by using the equilateral pentagon. Is this one worth your money, soulmates? Well, it really depends how you feel about not having something that's based on any specific version of Iron Man, but more of a general mishmash. If you want more of a Marvel vs. Capcom Iron Man, maybe you'll be happy with the cannon by itself, but this is more of a comic book Iron Man with kind of a flaw in the chest emblem. If you're looking for more of an animated series Iron Man, I don't know that you're going to be totally happy with this one either, unless you're okay with just a straight repaint of a comic book style Modular Armor Iron Man. Ultimately though, I think that people who just want a general Iron Man experience might be a lot happier with this one, and for $45 I think that this is an okay package. I think that $40 or $35 would have made more sense, but at 45, it could be a lot worse. Am I gonna get this one? Well, probably not, guys, because it is a Pulse exclusive, and with all the shipping and everything, it is going to be a bit more than I would like to spend on something like this. But hey, never say never, and if you'd like to see me review this one, let me know down in the comments, and be sure you share this video with your friends, and we'll see what happens. Well guys, now that we've talked about this Iron Man, what other characters would we like to see in this retro line? Well, I think that the obvious character that I would like to see is the Mandarin. I thought that his design from the TV show was really cool, and seeing him done up here in the retro line would be pretty awesome. Well, soulmates, what do you think of this retro deluxe Iron Man action figure? Is this one that you have to have for your collection? Are you on the fence right now for whatever reason? Maybe you don't want to buy it from Hasbro Pulse, or maybe you just don't like the quality, or maybe you're just not that into it. I don't know. Let me know, guys. I would love to hear what you think down in the comment section, and be sure you tell me what Iron Man character from the Iron Man animated series you want to see next. If you'd like to learn more about the 90s animated retro Spider-Man, you can check out that video here, soulmates.